Dear friends, welcome to yet another installment of Strategic Power. This video will show Netanyahu's plan for Gaza following what he claims is Hamas's defeat. The plan involves establishing a Palestinian administration composed of technocrats, demilitarization, and control by Israel. However, this exposes internal divergences over whether there should be a Palestinian government or a fully Israeli one. But will it be fair to unilaterally impose these measures? Watch to the end to understand more. But first, subscribe now and turn on notifications to stay on top of everything happening in global geopolitics. 4.5 months after the start of the war between Israel and Hamas, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu revealed his plan for the day after. He presented the plan on Thursday, February 22nd at night to the War Cabinet so that the authorities can appreciate it and eventually approve it. Netanyahu presented the cabinet with a document outlining principles for managing Gaza after the war. The goal is to install local officials not linked to terrorism to administer services in the Strip instead of Hamas. This news may have contributed to the quick calling of a third meeting in less than a month in Paris. The goal is to formulate a new agreement for the release of hostages before the start of the month of Ramadan on March 10th this year. The meeting will take the form of a four-party summit with statesmen and intelligence personnel from the United States, Israel, Egypt, and Qatar, starting in Paris and continuing in Cairo. The key figure in this new hostage initiative is CIA Director William Burns, as Washington is putting pressure on Egypt and especially Qatar, hoping that firm warnings to the Hamas leadership in Gaza and Doha will convince them to be more flexible in their demands. Meanwhile, it appears that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plan for the period after the defeat and ultimate elimination of the Hamas group in Gaza is based on 3 firm stages. These stages are short, medium, and long-term. Everything indicates that those plans will allow the Israeli army to maintain control over the Gaza Strip and the West Bank after the end of the war, while a Palestinian administration made up of experts will govern the region. Those initial steps were well received by the Arab community, as they do not explicitly indicate that the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank will be responsible for the future government of Gaza, but rather qualified Palestinians will take on that responsibility. Netanyahu postponed discussions on the day after of the war for over 4 months, fearing divisions within his predominantly right-wing coalition, seeking to eliminate corruption and terrorism in Gaza and Israel. However, some conservative and hardline politicians would prefer a genuinely Israeli government to a Palestinian one. Netanyahu is working to contain those differences of opinion within his government and among his supporters. But then, what will Benjamin's plan be? The first stage is immediate, where the Israel Defense Forces will continue the war until their goals are achieved. The complete destruction of Hamas and Islamic Jihad's military capabilities and infrastructure, the return of hostages, and the elimination of the threat from Gaza for a long period of time. In the second stage, which is the intermediate phase, Israel will maintain its freedom to conduct operations throughout the Gaza Strip without time restrictions, with the aim of preventing the resurgence of terrorism and frustrating threats coming from Gaza. A security zone will be established on the border with Israel and will remain as long as necessary for security. Israel will maintain a blockade on the southern border between Gaza and Egypt to prevent the entry of terrorist elements into the Strip. That blockade will be coordinated with Egypt and will receive assistance from the United States, aiming to prevent the smuggling of weapons and drugs, both underground and through crossings such as Rafah. Israel will exercise security control over the entire area west of the Jordan, including the Gaza Strip, to prevent the strengthening of terrorist groups in the former Judea and Samaria, as well as in Gaza, and to protect the state of Israel against threats. The complete demilitarization of the Strip will be carried out, except for what is necessary to maintain public order. Israel will have the responsibility to ensure this goal and supervise its implementation in the near future. In civilian terms, the administration and enforcement of the law in the Strip will be conducted, to the extent possible, by local authorities with administrative experience. In those local institutions, it will be ensured that there is no association with terrorist countries or groups, and that they do not receive funding from those sources. A comprehensive deradicalization program will be implemented in all religious, educational, and social assistance institutions in Gaza. with the support and participation of Arab countries that have experience in this type of initiative, especially in the educational field. In response to these efforts, Israel will take action to end United Nations activities in Gaza, due to the discovery of the involvement of 12 UN agents in the October 7 attack last year, and the role of those schools in promoting terrorism and the destruction of Israel. Israel will seek to replace United Nations activities with responsible international aid agencies. In the long-term stage, Israel will openly reject any international demand for a permanent settlement with Arab Palestinians. Any agreement will only be achieved through direct negotiations, without preconditions. Israel will continue to oppose the unilateral recognition of a Palestinian state, as this could pave the way for territorial disputes and reward terrorism. The October 7 attack cannot be used as justification to seek independence or expel ethnic groups such as Jews or Israelis. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, with these new plans, seeks to create a new Middle East oriented toward peace. In the face of the plans revealed by Benjamin Netanyahu for the future of Gaza, a series of controversial measures and bold decisions seem to shape the geopolitical landscape of the region. While Israel seeks to ensure its security and prevent the spread of terrorism, the consequences of those actions raise profound questions about the viability of lasting solutions to the conflict between Israel and Palestine. Does the price of security justify the cost of political destabilization and potential increase in extremism? Leave your opinion in the comments and take part in this debate.